Hey everyone, this is a market recap for Thursday, March 26th, covering the ES gap fill. Just as a recap, the ES gap fill is the distance between the 9:30 a.m. open and the previous 4 p.m. day's close. Our strategy is to understand the probabilities that go into that, and going into today, we knew that the half gap and the quarter gap had a better chance of filling than the full gap, and part of that was because the distance we opened up 40, 50 points away from the full gap, which is in red, but the quarter gap and the half gap had a higher probability. In fact, we actually mentioned that before 9 a.m. that we were going to look for the half gap. It's better than the full gap, especially based on the distance, but we were also keeping in mind that 66.12 was yesterday's full gap that we should be aware of that hadn't closed in regular trading hours. So we were keeping that in mind as well. And going to the morning, you can just see that after the 8 a.m. bottom, we ran right up to the half gap, and that was the high of the day before selling pretty much for the rest of the day. Okay, so how do we get in? One of the ways that we get in is using Fibonacci retracements and waiting for a retracement that aligns with the risk that we liked. So here's an opportunity at 8:30 to get in at this low, 65.76. That could have been tough to get into. Actually, it probably was more like this. That was tough to get into, but what ended up happening was after we bottomed there, I actually got in at 80. I used a 3-minute chart. This is a 15-minute chart, but I was in somewhere around 80, probably right over here at 8:45. And I ended up holding for the yesterday's open gap. And then once I saw that the half gap looked like it was going to be the top, or at least the local top, I took profit right around 66.14 or 15 or something like that. So I was holding my last target for the full gap just in case we busted right through this. But I saw that there was some participation and profit taking, so I took off my trade at that point, and I was done for the day. Once the half gap fills, the probabilities drastically decrease. Your edge for the day decreases, and becomes a much harder trade. Now, of course, you could have, this looks like there's an opportunity here at 65.80 to get a free trade, or at least move up your stop to break even and see if you could continue up into that full gap, but it didn't happen. Okay, so another reason we decided to go long from these lows is it did seem like at one point that the VIX was red. That ended up not really being the case, but when we came back down at the open, the VIX had actually dipped into its highs, and it looked like maybe it was going to be a failed breakout. So that possible short gave us the opportunity to actually get up into the half gap, and that was the highest we could make throughout the day. And you could see what happened to the VIX here. VIX ultimately broke out of that high, creating new highs, actually hit its profit target and was overextended. And now it's in a brand new retracement. So we'll see what happens overnight. That's a pretty big move for the ES, but a lot of times the VIX will run into this 23.6, which it just did, and it might continue up at this point, maybe through the weekend. So, all right, thank you.